Hey, Dan Wood here from Break Digital. This is a recording from a working session I had with Nicolai Magnussen, who's a software engineer and architect in Norway. He's also the founder of onedevconsultancy.com. He began consulting with clients and building websites while he was still in university. You've got to admire the hustle there. I see a lot of website developers who are evolving their services into marketing agency because once you've built a website for a business, the first question they ask is, where's all the website traffic? Well, websites don't generate traffic. You have to make them findable somehow. So at that point, they can either say, I don't know, I guess you need a marketer, or they can refer that client to a partner or an agency, or they can just keep that client and offer the services if they've got the process or the skills and the know-how to deliver those marketing services successfully. It makes sense because they've already built a relationship with the client. They know the client's business really well because they've built a website, which means they've probably been involved in copy editing and the website architecture, and they've built some trust with the person as their internet expert. So it only makes sense for website developers to take that client relationship and then evolve it into marketing bit. So that's what we talked about here. We also looked at some Google Ads fundamentals. We looked at his client website and some other parts inside his Google Ads account that he's actually running for 2 of his clients now so far. Actually, since we recorded this, he's taken on, I think, 3 more. So growing rapidly. Anyway, interesting talk. It's a long one, but I hope you like it. Check it out.
All right. Sorry.
So,
So you started at university?
yeah, I started at the university around 6, 7 years ago. But at that time, I wanted to help some people get some clients and help them succeed with things. So while I was studying, I created my own company in Norway. And at that time, it was more like a side
Right.
gig where I did next to university stuff and learning. And now,
Okay.
recently, I've been working as a consultant for quite many years, and I wanted to get some things going with my company again. So now it's more like a formal One Dev Consultancy is the name. I took One Dev and I added consultancy. Now it sounds a bit more American type of things.
Right.
I grew up in Norway in a small place called Sarpsborg, and I worked
Okay.
in the IT field in IT municipality, where you have like apprenticeship. And after that, I started to pursue higher education and kind of like narrow down to computer science, computer engineering. But I always like loved computers. But at one point, I really also missed the service side of things, where you're actually talking to people and not just bits and bytes, and you have to interact with customers and help them succeed. So that's kind of have taken the
Okay.
passion more into learning more about ads and how we can actually make a company visible, not just the nice place of how a website looks, but actually get them some clients. So that's what I hope I can learn
Yeah.
in this session with you.
Yeah. That's really common, actually. Whenever someone launches a website, their next question is, where's all the traffic?
Exactly.
And you've built a relationship with them because now you're their internet guy. So, yeah, it's a pretty common way that I see agencies grow, where they're starting in social media, and then they said, can you guys do Google Ads
And it
too?
makes sense because what can a company be if nobody can see it? So you have to
Exactly.
kind of learn your way around that. I think it's necessary in this year. And
Yeah.
most of the ads, when you browse through TikTok and social media and all these things, you see like, how can I help you get your customers, like 50 more customers in a month? If not, I will pay you back. And kind of that triggers you to see how popular that type of marketing is in these days as well.
Yeah. I think it's probably also hard for people to figure out what's real and what's a scam.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a challenge because marketing doesn't always work, right? What worked for one company in one market isn't necessarily, you can't just copy and paste that to the next place. Usually it's close enough if you have the resources to work on it, but
Yeah, good point.
it's,
But tell me about you. You have been in the market for industry for many years, as I understand.
yeah. So I started as a landscape architect and I started a blog, and I found that to be way more fun than my day job. Taught myself HTML, CSS, Before long, I was doing a Web 2.0 startup with a friend of mine and building websites for friends and family. And then I got my first marketing job at a sales software startup company. And then just went on from there. I worked at an agency. I built my own e-commerce company in 2015 that I sold in 2018. And during that time, people kept coming back to me asking for help with their Google ads. And everyone's like, "Oh, I just launched a website and my client needs, they're
Ah,
wondering where the traffic's going to come from." And then I suddenly became the resource that everybody needed. And I still get to do web development in the sense of landing page design and development and marketing automation and email marketing because it's the follow up to the ad. So I'm still doing all of the fun stuff that I like to do, all of the messing around with websites and apps and things, but it's focused. And then people sort of know where to categorize me. And that's also allowed me to deepen my skill set in advertising because I just, you know, I leave the blogging to someone else. Now Chat GPT will do it for you. So that was
mhm.
maybe a good move for now. We'll see.
So
So
now you're not a competitor anymore. You're more like an asset that they can use you because they know where they have you. They will always need someone to narrow down their Google ads and know who to go to.
yeah, yeah. So I've been working with a handful of agencies as a part of their team. And then I have some clients direct that I've had for some brand new, and some of them I've had for almost 10 years now. And in the last couple of years, I've been doing some coaching and training, which was to me a really refreshing break from managing the ads. And I really like that part of helping people. And when you have to crystallize something, an idea enough that you can explain it to someone else, it really forces you to like learn more.
That's so true, actually.
There, yeah.
I know.
And there was a lot of processes that I just did subconsciously because I've sort of I've machine learned it myself over so long, but I've never expressly written down if your keyword isn't running, these are the steps you go through. So I started doing some um, really still really rough, hasn't made it to the blackboard yet, but just some flowchart kind of stuff like
Cool.
these are the steps you actually go through because there are steps. It's not it it's complex enough that there's a lot of these diagrams and it can get overwhelming, but
That's why
it's
I have
also
this
really
big blackboard or behind
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
or whiteboard.
Yeah. Except this doesn't go away when I accidentally rub my jacket on the wall.
Good
It's
point.
a little more permanent. Anyway, so that brings us to where we are. You've got a couple of clients with advertising.
So I work mostly as a consultant, and just to say something about what you said about helping others, I started my own YouTube channel some years ago, but it's now that I see when you really have to really learn the concepts. That's when you're also teaching yourself and you can actually teach. Because there's so many people now on LinkedIn these days who create value. So you, like ChatGPT is nice, but you can't just ask ChatGPT to just create something random. You need to put really effort into it, and that's what I really like about people who are
Mm-hmm.
really passionate about it. So I started
Yeah.
that like with consultancy for working as a consultant in companies for like architecture, .NET, C Sharp, etc. But now it has kind of evolved into building an agency in a way you can call it that. So right now I'm working with a client in Norway who is a painter. Is that what you call it? Not a regular painter in the living room, but actually
An
doing
artist?
no, actually doing
Oh.
painting jobs like in Norwegian we say maler, but see how good
Oh,
my
okay.
English would be. See Google Translate.
Mahler.
So,
I know in German, Malst
exactly.
is yeah.
There you have it. I think it's just called painter in English. Let me check. Yeah, it's painter. So basically, it
Yeah.
has a painting company, and they get some deliverances and questions about what they can do, and they do have a website, etc. I've been out with the client, having a session with him, having coffee, and just talking about what he wants. And I got access to his all of the Google ads that he have. So it's kind of like
Okay.
now we can see where we can actually take this to the next step. So now I think what we are going to do is to basically rebrand everything, use the same domain name, and point it to another website. So it's going to be a fun process, and use all the Google ads that you already have.
Right.
Yeah, so basically,
We
he
said
has a nice website. It's created in WordPress and use some templates, etc. And the website is nice, but I think from that point of view, now he get leads into the website. But since I can't go in and do any automation or do things like take this email and put it here and do something like that, it's kind of like hitting into the black wall, or black space. So it will be better now to do it from that point of view, I think, and we have agreed upon that
yeah,
as well. So that's why I think it's pretty cool now that we have this meeting, because now I have all the data, and I don't know, to be honest, like, to be humble, I don't know anything about like advertisement in that way. I know how to build websites and talk to people, etc. But this is this is what I need to learn. So that's why it's awesome to be on the show with you.
yeah. Well, the place to start is who's their ideal customer and what is that person looking for, and then work back from that. We have to think from the perspective of a Google user or any search engine user, and also from the perspective of Google. So the ideal use case is someone has a question, they go to the search engine, they type their question, they get the result that tells them exactly the information they need, and they click through and they find the information they're looking for.
Just a question about that. Is that why inbound
Yeah.
marketing also works so good? Like when you are developing articles and pushing them out on LinkedIn, etc., you're getting traffic when people search this, not just these keywords, but these questions, and they get to the website, to your blog in that way?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. So it's actually a lot different.
Okay.
Search marketing is unique because you're on that blank screen, and for those 3 seconds, that's the most important thing in your life. Otherwise, you'd be doing something else.
So,
And you're looking for something really specific because your expectation is that Google will find you of all the billion web pages that there are, and books that have been published in scientific journals, and you know newspapers and magazines and everything. It's supposed to be the whole catalog of human knowledge.
it's true.
Google is going to take you right to where your answer is. That's the expectation, and that's usually the experience, at least the best we have, which is why Google is the dominant search engine. They were able to do this better than anyone
True.
else
And it's able to like
a long, long time
do
ago.
it based on your IP address, where you're coming from, so it doesn't need to give you like New Zealand if you are in Oslo, etc. It does
That's
that
right.
when
Yeah.
you write English, but it can like narrow down the search as well for you in a really nice way.
Yes, that's another thing people don't understand is that there isn't a list of what the results are. It's actually generated in real time. Your location and your search history, the device you're on, the time of day, all of these factors will customize the results for you. So it's kind of like going to Facebook. You don't see what's on Facebook, you see what's in your feed that's been
Mm.
customized to you. And so it is with all of the other social networks. So with the display advertising or like interruption advertising, you've gone to TikTok or Facebook or YouTube the same way you would go to Netflix or a news site just to see what's happening right now.
As you're saying,
But
like
sometimes,
Google is where you go to, where you need to find out something specifically. You have the browser there, you look at it, what should I type, how to do X, or where to find Y. But when you go to TikTok or
yeah,
Instagram, it kind of comes to you with the feed. Your
that's right.
preference.
Yeah, if you're thinking about the marketing for your painter
Mm.
or any company, on search, we get to point someone specifically to a page based on what they've searched for. And so there tends to be much higher intent. Like someone's specifically gone to Google to ask how much does it cost to have my house painted. And your client is what they're looking for. Your client or one of their competition. A well-designed search ad campaign will help Google deliver that answer. If they have the problem that you solve and they're trying to solve that problem, they're trying to find you. And when everything works in an ideal use case, the advertiser gets a return on their ad spend because they've found people who want to hire their services. The person who has the house to get painted can get the quote that they were looking for, and Google makes $1 billion a week
Yeah, exactly.
doing that over and over and over again all around the world.
So you're kind of saying like, how much does it cost to paint this house? They are on the lookout of not necessarily a service right there, but they can reach a service and decide.
Yeah. So yeah, that brings us to the concept of search intent.
Hmm.
So behind what I type into Google, there's the real question that I'm asking. Some searches are more informational and some searches have more purchase intent.
Okay.
So usually people draw that as a funnel where there's the top of funnel things where people are becoming problem aware, solution aware, and that might be stuff like what to do about paint chipping in my bathroom or something like that. What are the trending colors for 2025? Really early on stuff. They're not ready to hire a company. Their paint is old or they've just moved and they're
But based on that,
trying
Google
to
knows that that
customize
person
their
have
house.
moved, and later on you will see some sort of ads related to that later down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, maybe. I
You're
mean,
starting
Google
to
does
touch
know.
into like the area of interest.
Yeah, you can actually target people based on whether or not they're looking for a moving company,
Yeah, exactly.
which is
Pretty cool.
crazy. That used to be a thing that only Facebook could do because people would tell them that. But now that's a category, and Google can target people who are in market for Mercedes or people who've recently relocated. Google can infer so much data. I mean, our phones are listening to us now, and
So
it
Google
has,
knows more
yeah,
about you than you know about yourself.
yeah,
Almost.
probably, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's it is. It's actually kind of terrifying, but and Meta has their own file on you, and so does LinkedIn and TikTok.
So when you
That's
say
business. But
like the phone is listening on you, I remember I see a YouTube video about that. Like he presumably talked about some specific topic, and then later on he was targeted with that. You are also of that
yeah,
people that think that the phone is actually listening, even though we don't tell it to listen or do anything with the apps. And not to go
yeah.
deep into that, but it makes
There's been
sense.
so many times where I've seen an ad the next day for something that I was talking to someone about the day before, but then I can't remember. Did I search something up while we were talking about it, or did I actually provide a piece of data that would indicate that interest? Or
Could it be like
um,
statistical inference, like based on data points Google has access to and your search history throughout the
right.
trends, and use AI to like predict what you'll talk about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The zeitgeist.
That's actually
Just
more crazy than listening.
that was yeah. That idea's time had come. It was time for you to discover pocket watches,
Exactly. It's like,
right?
that's crazy. Oof.
Yeah.
But it also opens up a lot of possibilities, though, and to like how you can help companies move forward with that type of information, since Google has access to so many things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for that, I've got this book here, Sell Like Crazy, which does
Oh,
an amazing job of,
I'll take a look.
well, the first couple chapters are all about how amazing the author is, according to himself. But then the rest of the book is a really great blueprint for understanding how to present your idea to your market. So the high purchase intent keywords, which is like painting company near me, or the kinds of things that people will search when they know they're going to paint their house. They're looking for a quote, they want to talk to a salesperson.
Hmm.
That bottom of the funnel, according to this book, is 3% of your market. And that's where everyone's competing because that's the easiest person to target
Sure.
because they're ready to pick up the phone, book an appointment, schedule a job. And so in especially in small business where it's very much hand to mouth marketing, like the money we invest in marketing needs to come back as business soon. They don't want to spend, or they don't have money that they can spend for 6 months or 2 years to build a brand or build their SEO. They just need jobs booked now. So
Does Google also sell like that type of information to sales people who can reach out on the phone directly if they have hot data points?
they do have a service called Google Guaranteed where you verify that your business really is the type of business that you say it is. And then you can, for specific home services categories like that, you can get leads.
Hmm.
Tends to be pretty expensive because there's just a lot of competition for that. And I think Google charges a premium for that service. It depends on the business, depends on the competition. And some smaller towns only have a couple of painters. And if they sponsor a local sports team, or they they put up the right billboard, then that can be enough. I know that Google Ads is like the main topic here, but we also don't want to be pigeonholed into that and just say I only have one tool and then go around and
Yeah.
treat everything like a nail because you have a hammer in your hand.
Cool.
Sometimes Google Ads aren't the right answer for a business. It's really important when you're running advertising to understand the whole business, how it works, and you have to start with the customer, really. So the 3% of people that are ready to talk to a salesperson right now, as a marketer, it's great to target those people because you can show results.
Hmm.
Say, we spent $1,000 on ads, and here's the 7 leads that you got, and 3 of them turned into business. And we can do a return on ad spend calculation, and it's going to happen. If it's B2C, like business to consumer, it'll usually happen pretty quickly. People don't spend 3 years deciding whether or not they should paint their house.
If you do it correctly, like that's what I can see
Yeah,
from this. So you are not in the 15
yeah,
rank search when you scroll down to next on Google.
that's right. And you don't have to be the highest bidder necessarily. You need to be the best ad.
Yeah.
So, getting back to that ideal use case of Google, where I've got a question, I go to Google, I get the answer. That's where everybody wins. That's
There's
fine.
just one thought I got. Like you see on the website sometimes when you Google something and you see the thing on the top, it just says an ad and it kind of looks like the same search or the same website on the same search results, but it's from a specific ad. What does
Mhm.
measure that exactly that ad was able to be placed right there? Did he pay much more than the others? Did he do something completely different?
Good question. So that's called ad rank, is the algorithm that decides which ads will show and in what order, which position. And ad rank is determined by your quality score and your bid.
Hmm.
So your quality score essentially means how relevant your ad is to the search. So is your ad a great search result? Is it what I was looking for? Or is it something that's trying to interrupt me or get in my way or some other kind of spammy thing? So if you go to Google and you're searching for painting companies and you see an ad for an insurance company,
Hmm.
then it feels like Google's broken.
Yeah. Good
That's
point.
um, that's how search engines used to be before Google. The ads would be just whoever paid the most.
So, so,
It had nothing to do with what you were doing
so
there.
it's not necessarily now about who has the biggest bucks. It's about who has perfected the way of doing ads and know what to target based on all the search criteria.
Yes, your bid is a factor, but if you think from Google's perspective again, there are only a finite number of searches. There's billions of them,
Hmm.
but there are still only a finite number of chances that Google has to serve an ad and have someone click on it. And people will click on the ad if they're finding exactly what they're looking for. So if you write an ad that is really specific to the keyword and the landing page is actually delivering what the person was looking for, then that's an ideal use case for Google. So Google would rather show that good ad more often than to show a bad ad that gets clicked less often.
Hmm.
So they will charge you less money. If your ad, let's say you have a 10% click through rate, so every 10 times your ad shows, it gets clicked on once. A less relevant ad, so an ad that doesn't match that search as much, will have a much lower click through rate, so maybe 1%. So Google has to show that ad 100 times just to get one click.
Oh, okay, I see.
So they'd rather charge you a dollar and 10 cents 10 times than to charge the other person $10 per click once.
Because Google want to be the place where you actually find what you're looking for. So they
That's
prioritize
right.
that.
Yeah. One, Google will make more money selling or showing an ad that gets clicked more
Yeah.
often, but it's getting clicked more often because it's a better answer to that person's question, which makes Google work better. Because remember, we don't pay a subscription service to Google. We don't really owe them anything. And they've built all of these, like their speakers and their phones and the self-driving cars and the undersea cables and everything they've done to enable people, like Android browser, Chromebooks.
True.
They're just trying to get people on the internet, because if you're on the internet, Google's making money.
You can say we don't pay them
Right.
anything, but they kind of own us in terms of data.
Right. But at the same time, we could all just start using a different search engine and Google would be out of business overnight, because all of their revenue from all of the other stuff that they do would be a tiny company. I mean, they have their Google apps and Google hosting, and they do so much, but it's still almost all of their money is coming from search.
Yes.
And it's always been that way. And we could just go use a different search engine. If Google starts showing spammy ads or takes us to broken pages or pages with malware on them, then we'll just go and use Bing or Dogpile, or there's hundreds of other search engines, because there's so much money to be made.
Bing have the same like setup as like Google Ads, etc. You can pinpoint things. Do you have a service that kind of takes all these services, so you don't have to individually go into Bing, go into Google, go into Facebook? I guess they are, but that's kind of
Yeah.
like maybe out of topic for this session now.
Oh no, Bing has been, well, Microsoft's business model has always been, let someone invent something that really works and then we'll just either buy it or copy it. I mean, that's a harsh generalization, but
Yes.
essentially that's what they've done, because the business plan is Google makes $1 billion a week. And if we could capture 1/1000th of that, that would be an amazing investment. And Microsoft had the resources to do that. And they were actually competing really well. Maybe 20 years ago or so, there was a race between Bing and Google, depending on what country you're in. But anyway, you can import a Google Ads account right into Microsoft Ads, right into Bing. So it'll just it'll connect and import everything and copy it over. You get something that's working in Google, and then you can just import that into Bing.
What about the
and
people
run it
like that are using DuckDuckGo? Can they be targeted by people like us who wants to get in front of potential buyers?
When you run ads on Google Search, you can also opt into the Google Search Network. So Google licenses their advertising and even their search results to other companies. So that's like Google Search Network. I'm not sure about DuckDuckGo specifically, but I'm sure, I mean, they have to make their money somehow. So if it's
Yeah.
not through advertising, it's through subscription or membership or referrals.
Yeah, but
They have to keep the lights on somehow.
it's interesting you say it's 90% of the user base is on Google, and you said in your place or in like general in terms of like being.
Generally in the Western world, Google, yeah, I haven't seen a stat recently, but I think it's like 90%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just note down some notes while we are speaking because it's quite interesting facts. Makes you think like how important it
Yeah.
is to know what you are doing and not just
Well, the,
throw something random
yeah,
ad out there and hope that it will be visible to some people.
it's a really powerful tool. Yeah. So it's important to have the ad account set up properly so that you are targeting people in your area, and the way that you select your keywords determines when your ad can show. And then the way you organize your keywords into ad groups determines which ad will show for which search. So you can refine your keyword list into multiple different ad groups, and each ad group has its own ad. So the best practice is to have one search intent per ad group with an ad that really answers that. So you might, for this client, you might have an ad group about painting a whole house, or an ad group about subcontracting for other contractors. Kind of depends how people search for it. You can bid on any keyword you want, but if no one is searching for that phrase, your ad won't run.
I guess there are tools to see which keywords are most popular, etc., like Google Search Analytics or something like this. I'm not sure if that's appropriate.
Yeah.
I think I used it for YouTube once to like see what keywords people will be looking at.
Yeah, there's a keyword planner tool inside Google Ads.
That one.
Yeah. And there's other apps that people use to figure out what the competition is, what keywords are they running, and how much are they spending, like it's some big mystery. It isn't. I generally don't really do keyword research.
Oh,
I just start with the customer.
interesting.
You know, who are the people who have the problem that you solve? What pain are they in? And how do they go about solving that? And how can you get involved in the conversation in their head
So you're kind of like doing an
about,
interview with the customer to understand what he thinks, what problems he can solve, and that will take the fact what keywords you will actually use in search optimization and all these
yeah,
things.
yeah. And for things like house painting or moving companies, we can just figure that out because we've used those services and we know what they do. That's
Mm.
pretty obvious. For other things, you will go and talk to the sales team. You know, what are the first 5 questions that most people ask you? What are the objections that you are overcoming in your sales process? How do your prospects talk about what their needs are when they're trying to figure out what service they need? Or, you know, that's the best research, is actually talking to the customer. So that another version of that would be like a focus group or a customer survey or something like that, where you're trying to get to that deeper need. We paint our walls because we want a different color, but that's because it's a part of living a certain way. It's lifestyle.
I kind of just gave you
Yeah,
one example to work with or one niche because that's the one of the clients,
sure.
but I do have also a hairdresser company based in Sweden that I'm also
Okay,
looking at how we
cool.
can optimize for. He has no website, but he do have a booking system type of things that they are using in Sweden. And he has TikTok and Instagram, and he's good at providing value in those areas from what I can see activity wise. But he would like more people coming to his store. What could we do in that type of example for this to be like valuable for other people who are watching as well?
Right. Um, is Google Maps, Google My Business, is that big in Sweden?
Yeah, I think like people use Google the same as they like use in Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's a free profile for a local business. I'm not sure if you'll need a website for that. Sometimes I think you can use a Facebook page,
Yeah.
but having your own website's always a little bit better.
Shouldn't say this here.
I
I'm a
think
developer.
maybe the
But
what's that?
you shouldn't say this here since I'm a developer. But I'm just kidding with you. No, I think you're onto
No,
something.
right.
You don't need a website. You need a website if you're actually giving out value.
Well, you said they have a booking system.
Yeah, so they haven't made this booking system, but I found that this is a Swedish company who have made type of. I'll try to see if I find the name of the client, but they have a way to go into that system and order hairdresser appointments or other type of appointments, and he has registered his company into that service. So when you Google it, you
Okay.
see like the link is not to the website; it's instead to go directly to the booking website in that way.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
when I think about
As
web.
long as that works for their
Yeah, he said he wants more customers, so something kind of needs to be done in that area. Why I was thinking like website here is because that's where you can gather social media onto the website. You can provide some value by maybe having an article about how hair, which type of wax you should use, etc. If you are that kind of person and you have that time or have a team to actually do that, like inbound marketing, etc., and then move the
yeah.
booking system over there or use the existing booking system through the website. But I had like in my mind that the more your website is providing value, the higher rank it will also have in Google. But as I say, that's just a pre-assumption that I have made, and I'm not totally sure about that. But I just like know about inbound marketing enough that I can make that assumption.
Yeah. For a local business, Google Business would definitely be an important thing, and keeping that profile updated. So when Google is recommending someone or sending someone directions, the more reassurance you can give Google that the business is actually where you say it is, that it's actually open, that it still exists.
Yeah.
It's risky for Google to give directions to a company that hasn't shown any sign of life for 3 years. It might just not be there. But someone who is actively updating their business hours or posting updates to Google Business, that's a sign of life. It shows Google that that business is real. Getting reviews is really big. If other people had positive experiences there, then I'm more likely to as well.
That
So
makes
reviews are
sense.
really important. And then
Yeah,
for
psychological.
social, every time they do someone's hair, they have an opportunity to take a picture of that and
Exactly,
post
exactly.
and build a catalog.
That's a really
So
smart
they don't
point.
have to work. Yeah. And same thing for the painting company too. They don't have to work really hard coming up with a content strategy because they're doing something visible and physical. Like they can build their portfolio as they go just by taking pictures. You don't need a professional photographer anymore because everyone's got a 14 megapixel camera in their pocket.
So you also think that content strategy, or I say maybe AK inbound marketing, is something you need in this year, to keep up with the other companies, like either if it's TikTok or
Yeah,
Instagram posts or something like this, where you take them through the day. We are painting this wall, etc. Because then you're going up higher in the ranking. You're being seen more often. The more you're seen, the more likely it is that they will be reminded about that company. That person does this type of service.
that's right. Just how can someone find me?
Yeah,
There, the more things you have in market or the more content you have out in the world, the easier it is for someone to discover that you exist. And then if that content is educational or entertaining or informative, so for like getting a haircut or a hairstyle, people want to see what's in fashion today, what kind of styles are you good at, what services do you offer, and that stuff. If it's done in content, the thing with a small business is they don't have a marketing team, they don't have
yeah,
a content department. So if you can build something into the process, if their workers are always just get into the routine of taking before and after pictures when they come and paint, or the same thing with a haircut. If you could get people to agree to show their before pictures, maybe the after pictures are sufficient there. But if you can build that into their process, then they don't have to do an additional thing. So reducing the amount of work or effort that it takes
mm.
to generate content because they have something visible and obvious that they can do. So that might not be the very best content. Like for the hairstylist, depending on who their clientele is, they could publish more higher quality style guides
But
or
when you
you
then
know,
say like that company doesn't need a website, that's interesting to me to hear from a specialist like you. When you're doing like
yeah.
ads and marketing, do you say that it's more about where
Well,
you're located and if you have like a social media profile somewhere to reach you, that's more important than having a page where you can go in and
well,
read?
I'm assuming their booking system has some kind of web front, some kind of
Yeah.
landing page, right? It's not just a calendar widget. So that's their website. And could it be better than that? Probably. It depends on the booking system.
Yeah, so like the
My
booking
barbershop
system
has,
is more like used for multiple companies in different niches, and some smart guy developed a website called Booking Now or Book a Direct or something like this, and you can register
okay.
your company there. Um, but I don't know. I'm just trying to understand like your point of view regarding websites, etc. In this type of year. Um,
I still think they probably want something that they own and control. The website, the domain, the SEO history, that stuff becomes part of the goodwill that you could sell. That's part of the value of the business, the domain name and the content that's there.
But I mean,
So
like
you probably want to
having a
own that.
website with just statical content like about us, etc. It's kind of more boring than actually having a website where you can read articles or see something about trends, etc. Or maybe if you gather the
Yeah,
social media onto the website, that's kind of what I was thinking a little bit about.
yeah. What's going to serve the client? What's going to make them interesting? What's going to make them seem trustworthy and professional and make it easy for people to book with them? So you're removing the friction. Um, it should be really easy to figure out where they're located because that's probably a big consideration when someone's trying to hire them, and then just make that booking as easy as possible. So
Yeah. But now you're talking about an interesting point because that was one of my kind of questions that came up in my mind. Like I draw one, two, three on the tablet here. Like when your Google ads are great, you have pinpointed exactly the parameters and keywords, etc. That's good, But if you're just sent into a black hole where you don't know what to do next, then it's not good.
Yeah.
So that's where you're talking about funnel strategies and how you can actually reach that interest, right? If not, it doesn't really matter so
Hmm.
much what you do in terms of ads.
Yeah. And if they don't have a website, you have to wonder how legitimate that business
Yeah,
is.
that's something that
Um,
also comes to my mind.
I went to a barber shop, this haircut, just this week.
Nice.
They don't have a website yet. They've been open, I think, 3 months. And I was going to ask them if they have a website, and
You can build one.
but I just,
Yeah,
yeah,
next time.
I just thought I'll, next time, yeah. But why don't they have a website? I had to call them to book, to ask them what time they're
Exactly.
available, and it didn't work. And then I had to call back and reschedule, and it was a real pain because the barbershop I usually go to has a great booking system, but they're a little bit further away. And I wanted to try these new guys because they're at the end of my street. So it's just more convenient.
And you weren't
But I
influenced
had to
by
work really
any
hard.
ads or search parameters, or Google haven't been following your trends lately, so you made that decision.
Right. Well, I drive past their
Okay, so you
shop,
have
so I
seen it.
knew. And it's next to my mechanic, my auto garage, so I knew that they were there and they were open. And but I had to work really hard to get in there,
Interesting.
to figure out when they're open and book that appointment because they didn't have a booking system. They don't have a website. I wasn't really sure if they were open yet. I think I had to find their phone number on, it wasn't on a Facebook page, but it was in Google My Business. But they're just making it difficult for people to come in. And I mean, because I'm in marketing, I'm more expecting them to have all of that stuff put together. No one's used a phone book here in close to 20 years. So, like, how else would I actually find you? The other really important concept is customer lifetime value. So, if we look at just the cost to acquire a customer and what that first sale is worth,
Hmm.
sometimes it doesn't add up. So if you say to a massage therapist, well, you charge $100 for a massage and it's going to cost $50 to book that person in through ad costs. Then the massage therapist is like, well, the clinic takes half. I only get paid 50, the clinic gets 50. That $50 is going to Google and I'm working for free for that massage. It doesn't make sense to do that advertisement.
Hmm.
But if you look at the customer lifetime value, which is how much you're paying the cost to acquire that customer the first time. But then if you've got your process and your booking system running smoothly, they'll book their next visit before they leave. And the average
That's a good
person might
point,
come
actually.
back.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Here, a lot of white collar folks, professional people, have benefits that cover $500 or $600 a year worth of chiropractic, massage therapy, physiotherapy,
Yeah,
all that stuff. So people will come in and spend that money. They'll come in 5 times a year and they might be your customer for 3 years. Not everyone's going to come in the second time, but most people will come in 2 or 3 times so that the customer acquisition
hmm.
cost decreases. And for a barbershop, they could do a haircut, 8 or 9 haircuts a year. And
And have a
then
life.
so they can pay a lot more to acquire that customer as long as they're providing a great service and they have that booking system that efficiently gets people back in again. That's a barrier to a lot of businesses, a lot of small businesses. They're not thinking about customer lifetime value. They're thinking about just that one
That's
sale.
so true, actually.
For a painting, yeah, for a painting company or a moving company, you might only need them every 5 or 10 years. So for them, it's not about getting repeat business from
Hmm.
that customer. It's about capturing as many reviews and referrals as possible so that they can reduce their cost of acquisition for future customers.
Depends a bit on the niche. I remember
Uh,
the hairdresser or barbershop, he said that they had so many clientele or prospects in their database. And he started to
mm,
send out some newsletters type of thing, which he had set up himself. And it gave
yeah.
some type of value. But I'm sure that there's
Oh, yeah.
so much more lot to go from there. And when you say which type of hair like appointment do you want next time, if businesses just do that after I'm having a haircut and they ask you in 1 month you can set up an appointment, I think you can also have so much more value there as well.
So, with the booking system for the hairstylist, I was thinking about this when I was getting a haircut. And I guess being a bit of a data nerd, I looked back through my calendar over the last few years and figured out that I get a haircut every 45 days on average.
Oh wow.
So it's 8 haircuts a year. And usually what happens is around a month after, I start looking in the mirror and going, I don't know, like I just shaved, but I still look scruffy. I don't know what the problem is. And then around, uh, let's say day 35, then I realize, oh, I need a haircut. But between my barber's schedule and my schedule, it's usually another week before I get in there. But if you go 365 days divided by 8 haircuts a year is 45, 46 days. But 365 divided by 9 haircuts a year is 41 days. So if I got a haircut on average 5 days sooner, I would have 9 haircuts a year instead of 8, which is 12.5% more per year. So if my barbershop had a
Mhm.
proactive booking system and they could email me around day 30 when I'm starting to look in the mirror and going, yeah, I'm just getting old fast or something's wrong. If they sent me an email and said, the problem is you need a haircut and
Exactly.
here's the link to book, right? Your favorite stylist is available on these 3 times, pick a slot and
And it
book.
goes like this, goes fast, just works.
Yeah, they could increase their business by 12.5%,
Hmm.
and they'd be doing me a favor because they would be cutting out that week of my life where I'm,
Feel like you are not looking as handsome
yeah,
as you were.
that's right, wearing a hat or not doing a podcast or whatever because I'm obviously way overdue for a haircut, or my wife's looking at me but not saying anything, uh, but thinking, why is that guy not taking care of himself? So
Such a joke.
they, right, and that's so now we're talking about marketing automation
Hmm.
and trying to predict customer needs, which really could, in this case, it's pretty simple. You could set up an automation. If someone hasn't made a purchase here in 30 days, then send them this series of texts and emails to get them in until they rebook. And that
Very good.
might prevent them from going somewhere else.
Yeah, it will, and mostly you see with hairdressers and clients, they actually, and you just said it yourself, you want to try out a new one, even though you probably like the other one as well. It's just,
Oh yeah.
but if he
Well,
had
day
sent you that
52,
message, maybe not.
that's right. At day 52, I'm desperate and I'll just go into the nearest barbershop because I'll get to a point where I'm going to a meeting tomorrow and it's just
It's kind of
it's out
like
of
when you are
control
in
and it
the
falls.
restaurant and you are on the table and you want something to drink and you've already drink your beer and you need something refreshing and the bartender is just standing there. Um, so you're losing out
Yeah.
of business.
Yeah.
So seeing the need before the need is already there is a great point.
Yeah. So I think again, so we don't risk treating everything like a nail just because we have a hammer. Do they need a website? Well, what's what's going to remove friction from their
Hmm.
customers doing business with them, and what's going to enable them to serve their customers better? So probably a website, a booking system, a container that holds all of their portfolio or contact details, whatever that is. It's probably a great website with an automated backend, like a
Mm-hmm.
Go High Level platform or something like that.
Can like log in to see your hairdresser earlier appointments and see how it was, maybe take a picture of it and upload it. Yeah, there's so many things you can do there. um, it's quite interesting, that type of field.
Yeah. And then that can help you calculate your customer lifetime value if you've got a good customer database that you can figure out, and not just a series of bank statements, but actually that customer data. How long does the average person stay with us? How often do they come in? Then you can work back to know how much can we spend to acquire a new customer and still be profitable.
Hmm.
And that customer lifetime value and cost of customer acquisition can become your marketing budget, because as long as you're making an investment, if it costs $100 to acquire a customer and a haircut is only 50, but they're going to come back 5 times or maybe 20, now we can see how much we can spend on marketing to get a new customer
Good point.
without panicking that we're losing money.
Good
um,
point.
yeah. And that's a really important conversation to have with a customer, because a lot of small businesses will set their marketing budget based on how much they can afford,
Yeah.
how much cash they have on hand now, or how big
Yep.
their line of credit is, or
Sure.
because someone told them that you should spend 4% of your revenue on marketing or something like that. But you can base it on a real number to make that an investment prospectus rather than a cost center. Like, oh, we have to spend 4% on marketing, like it's a tax we have to pay. Yeah.
So good point. So once more, you know about the customer and the trends, like kind of like Google knows about us, and we can know that also about the local business. That's when you
Yeah.
can actually pinpoint the numbers more, and you don't need to spend your whole earnings on just ads and don't know what you're actually getting out of it.
Yeah. And that elevates your conversation too. So a lot of people will reach out because their website's broken and they need your help. And if you
Yeah.
can ask deeper questions about their business, their customers, how their whole system works, then you can be more than just the web developer or just the
Yeah.
Google Ads guy or the social media person. Because even though it's more efficient for me to niche down into one service, specialize what I do so that I can repeat that efficiently, it's a better relationship for the customer if you can understand their business and then offer more help that way, rather than just saying, "Oh, what's your advertising budget? $2,000. Okay, let's go spend that and see if it works." And then if it doesn't, then they don't know what's broken. Maybe their landing page is terrible, like there's too much friction and people aren't booking, or maybe they're getting leads, but they're like in the instance of the painting company, maybe sometimes it takes them 3 days to respond to someone's email, and they've already got a quote from another painting company in that time. And then so they're saying, well, the marketing doesn't work because I can't get any of these people on the phone. None of the leads are getting back to me. Maybe that's the problem.
But maybe the
Um,
leads are getting back to them, but they don't see it because their system is not how it should be. Um,
yeah. And maybe the person that set up their Google ads didn't know what they were doing. So they'll conclude that either that person's no good and go to a different agency or consultant, or they'll decide that Google ads don't work
mm,
for their business. And so they're going to try meta advertising
and that
without a
doesn't work
deeper understanding.
either.
That's
So
right. So
they give
maybe
up.
it's TikTok or bus ads or
Yeah.
radio or something. And eventually, like, all advertising works. It's just a matter of how efficient it is.
Mm, mm, mm.
So if you can get a bigger understanding, a deeper understanding of their business and their customer life cycle, then you can prescribe a better treatment. You can come up with a better solution and then troubleshoot more effectively so you can get to efficiency in advertising faster. Because it doesn't always work really well on the first day. Like, it, it's a
Yeah,
process, right?
you have to be patient, as with many things in life.
Yeah.
But how can you
Yeah.
make the
Evolution.
customer then understand that you need to be patient if you're coming in and you're fixing up their ads and they don't see any direct satisfaction about the improvements?
Oh boy. Well, that depends on what the
Trust.
what the problem is with ads. This is why I gravitated towards pay per click. We have that data. Like, we spent $100. It was $5 per click. We sent 20 visitors. These are the pages they went to. These are the keywords that they triggered because of the search terms that they searched. So we have that data immediately. Sometimes the conversion data takes a few days to get through, but we have that more immediate feedback, so we can make faster changes to make improvements. So usually, if they're running ads already, they have some irrelevant keywords that we can block with negative keywords. So we can look at the search terms, and maybe we can actually look in the account if you want.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we'll look at some of this data.
I can also show you the website that are there today.
Okay.
I guess the website is nice. It's nice to look at, etc. But how good is it at actually capturing the customer value? Maybe you can say some points about that after. Let me see
Okay.
here. Can you see the website now?
So in getting to your question, how do we provide that value? Usually we start off by targeting that 3% of people who are ready to talk to a salesperson now. They're just trying to compare quotes for pricing. So that would be those high purchase intent searches: cost to paint house, painting contractor near me.
You can contact
Yeah.
them. I guess you go through the form here, you type in information. Then I'm not sure like how. I just tried it out now, like adding some test information. Not sure like what happens after that, because that's code I haven't seen and the process I haven't gone into yet. But I guess here there's a lot of things you can do, I would guess. From that point of view, once the customer actually hits send, we need help with this. And I also notice here you can't write any type of form. We need to paint a 3 square meter wall, etc. There's just name, address. So you know about the
Yeah.
services, if it's painting or if it's building construction or if it's just looking at the problem. But then you need to contact the client in order to need what their actually needs are. So I guess you could add some more data
Yeah.
points here as well before in the form.
Yeah. Usually the default, uh, the default web form will just say message submitted successfully, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So that would be the lowest form of interaction for the customer. We would like to tell them what to expect next. Like,
exactly.
we will get back to you within one business day, or ideally they'll call them right away,
Yeah, that's a good point. I
right?
will write that down.
Like, that person's just gone, in the case of Google ads and these high search intent keywords, that person's just gone to Google to see how much it's going to cost them to get their house painted. They're ready for that answer right now. So if we call them on Tuesday,
Yeah,
we've
it's too
missed
late.
that opportunity.
It's so true. Because then they might have gone
So
to another
yeah,
website and put
if
their form in there as well. And they have contacted them or
right.
they just lost interest. Yeah, you
Sure.
see.
Yeah, they're probably on the homepage of Google, and they've clicked through the top 5 results, and then they're also going to be looking at the reviews of these
Yeah.
companies. So the sooner you can give them something that engages them more. So maybe, and this is where that marketing automation part would come in, if we can give them an email right away that takes them to some more information, like, um,
Ah.
I don't know,
We're
five
looking
five
forward to
questions you
start
need to
on
ask before
your
you hire a painter.
We're looking forward to start on your project. Please tell me a little bit more information. Maybe you can take a picture, because once you are in the process, you have kind of started to interact, and then they're already almost your customer. I like, from a
Yeah,
psychological perspective, if you start to clean the kitchen, and you don't stop, like once you have actually started, it's so much more easier to actually just do it. Um,
that's right. Yeah, so the worst thing would just be to say your form has submitted successfully.
that's what it says
Well, I don't
here.
know what to expect now. Yeah, so let's get it to let that be the first part of a conversation. Nowadays, you can have an AI chatbot
Yeah,
text them with some qualifying questions.
good
How,
point.
what are you actually trying to achieve here? How many square meters is it? Where is it located? We can gather a lot of information from
I mean,
someone
like text them on the
who's at
phone,
that
like
point.
with their number, etc. Like it's a regular
Yeah,
person coming back to you. That's actually quite smart.
it's a different interaction because when you get a text message, your phone notifies you right away and it's in your hand, whereas email
Good
is
point.
still a few steps away and I might
Yeah,
not check it till tomorrow.
yeah. We have to
That'll
have
go through the
some
same
sort of
cycle that email's gone through
regulations
too.
on it. I'm not
Yeah.
sure about that in Norway, but
Email used to be the most efficient thing because you would only get an email from someone who you knew who was sending you information that you needed
it's not like that today.
before
Today
marketers
you
got
have
involved.
all this newsletter informations coming to you wherever you are, even though we didn't like apply for them.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So phone makes
Yeah, I
sense.
try to unsubscribe from something every day. It's a pain,
Yeah, it is actually.
but
Like it's been so many, and in the end, I just started to be like, okay, I'm going to actually read this. But
yeah.
so now they're like saying, thank you for your message. We will contact you as fast as we can. So imagine you're coming from the website. You reach the website here. Yes, the website is nice looking, I guess, if you're not on mobile right now. But um, the funnel part, I think there might be too many things going on the website at the same time, but that's something we can look at Yeah, it was more why I wanted to show the website was more like to the people who are viewing, like once the Google Ads are doing its thing, like how important it is to actually have the funnel working in your advantage, like all the things that you talked about, like coming back to them with the email, what are you going to work on, etc. But here you should see the Google Ads.
Hmm. Yeah, if someone walked into your retail store and you
Yeah,
just didn't say hi to them for the first 10 minutes, they'll probably just leave. Even if you're
exactly.
working with another customer or you're doing another order or whatever, somebody needs to greet them and acknowledge them right away, even if that's to say, I'm sorry, but I'm busy and I'll get to you in a minute. So we think about what is the website equivalent of that.
Exactly. So can you see the screen now?
Yes, Google Ads preferences.
So I tried to open it up in. I changed it to English before the meeting. So let me see if that actually
Okay.
did what it wanted, so we can actually understand what's going on. Should be this one, I think. Yeah, but that's some great value you're saying there, like automation and how you can engage with the customer right away.
Okay.
We go to settings, preferences. Expert mode.
Expert mode.
This feels great. Switch to expert mode.
Yeah, they have that like smart mode is a simplified version to make it easier for self-serve people just to get in and run ads, but it's also missing all of the tools and configurations and reporting.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing we need to look at is the conversion tracking, and it's giving us a notification about the tag being missed. So if we
Yeah.
want to get results, we need to be able to measure them, and that's where conversion tracking comes in.
Is the tag
Um,
here talking about from the
usually we
website point of view?
Yeah, so that'll be a bit of JavaScript that Google wants to
Yeah.
put on the site. Now, if they have Google Analytics, then Google Ads can import the data from Analytics, or you
Gotcha.
can set up a Google Ads tag directly on the site.
Okay.
So we have to go to that website and see if they have their Google tag. There's actually a Chrome extension
Oh,
called Google Tag Assistant.
interesting. So you don't have to look
I
through
mean,
the
you're a developer,
source
so you could
code.
just look in the code and see. Okay, so Tag Assistant's telling me there are no Google tags on that site.
Okay. Then it makes
So
sense with what Google is saying then.
yeah, so all those conversions that we saw before, the local interactions, the click to call, those will be interactions with this business in Google My Business
Ah,
because it's not getting any data from their website.
okay. So we're losing quite a lot of data. So when saying like Google My Business, you're talking about once you search the company and you see about us and the recommendations and where the address is, and if they click on call, etc.,
Yeah,
from
on the
there.
Google on Google Maps. That's assuming that they're well, it's not serving me the maps here because I guess it knows I'm too far away from Europe, unfortunately. But
I can.
assuming they've confirmed that their business listing on Google and their website are connected.
This is what I can see when I go to the Google and I search this. But now it knows about me
Okay.
because I'm logged in, of course. And I see the
Yeah, there's a
campaign
website link
was
there.
created in 2020. Does that mean the same campaign has been running for so many years and never been touched after? I guess.
Possibly. We can look at change history inside of Google Ads and it'll tell us.
Gotcha. Let me go back.
But
Yep.
yeah, I've taken over accounts from agencies where they literally set it up and then bill the client monthly for a year and never even logged in. It,
Oh,
it
wow.
does happen. Sometimes that's because the agency doesn't know what to do and they're just afraid to touch it.
Yeah, because it's kind of working and don't touch it if
Yeah.
it's working.
I mean, they really shouldn't be selling the service that way, but um,
I see, I see.
yeah, it
So
does.
it's more common to set up multiple campaigns.
Yeah, I have a slide on that. So at the campaign level, we have a campaign type. So there's search ads, display ads, and others. we have a location setting and a budget, and also campaign dates. So we set up at the campaign level for each different location. So if they have 2 locations in 2 cities, then you might have a campaign for each city. And then budget is controlled at that level as well. So that you can say we want to spend this much on search and then that much on display retargeting. Within a campaign, we have one or more ad groups, and then each ad group is a collection of keywords and ads that are related to each other.
Interesting. Yeah, so when I think about
Typically.
this, like the campaign, is if it have been like running for since 2020, and when I look at it, it basically says we are construction company or painting company located here and there, and the result will always be amazing. What can we do for you? If you would change up that every month or every like type of X week, and have a new video or something you're showing off, or like customer, what we did for this customer, would you use the same money, even though you're like just approximately the same money, even though we're creating a new ad, instead of just running the same campaign for like 3 years? I mean, that's something I see can be optimized right away when I look at it.
Yeah. Um, for that kind of content, you might have a video campaign or a display
Yeah.
campaign, and then you're adding new, fresh ads to that, and that's really important if you're doing TikTok or LinkedIn or Facebook, where those kinds of sites need new content. They call it ad fatigue if you're just running the same ad
Yep.
on Instagram forever. Instagram, their offer to their audience is that you can go there and see something new and exciting every time. So they don't want to show people the same post over and over again.
Hmm.
Google, for Google, it's a little different. For search ads specifically, Google wants to show the best search result that it can for that keyword. So if you found something that is working really well, they'll show that over and over because it continues to be the search result that someone was looking for. If it's the ideal landing page and the ad specifically answers the search query and then delivers them what they were looking for on the landing page, there's no ad fatigue there. There's just better and better user experience.
Okay, so when you like see this sponsored type of Google search results, what Google is caring about if it's actually valuable for the search, and if they click on it, it can stay there for 3 years if it works. But other like LinkedIn and Facebook, they are more like, "Hi, you should update, you should do something new in order to like improve results."
Yeah.
So this is the information they have. We are a painting company, etc. I guess this could be optimized. Here, you would not see a video, but you would probably
No.
do like on Facebook or something like this. But Google doesn't work that way. It works more than for this type of content, is what you're saying, like search what you are after. Or maybe also
Yeah.
on YouTube, like we are a painting company and a video could work, I guess, because you can
There
all.
are some optimizations. So if you look at the search results that are below this sponsored one, instead of just a little picture of a globe, the globe icon, and a URL, they're
This one.
showing their logo and their name.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
down.
the further ones, yeah. So Prof,
Yeah, they have the logo.
XK,
Here, they
Malik
actually don't have
Thermos,
the logo,
they have their logo.
but
And so
the
that's the
company have the
advertiser
logo.
verification process
Oh,
inside of Google Ads, where you basically prove to them that you are that company. So they'll start showing your logo and your name. And
okay.
there are other things called assets that can be added to your ad as well. So phone numbers, lists of neighborhoods you serve, lists of services you offer, site links. They're all categorized in Google Ads under assets. And those are little bits of additional helpful information that it will put underneath your ad.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of things. But the process, first, we need to have the conversion tracking installed so that we know what's actually working and what's not. And that conversion data is not just for marketing reporting. That's actually machine learning data that feeds back into Google Ads and
Cool.
helps them target their ads more effectively.
So since 2020 till 2024, they have had 98 conversions. What type of data is this based on? The conversion here, because if
Um,
they are not hooked up to the Google tag analytics, etc., on the web page
right.
JavaScript, how can they know if there is a conversion here? Because I guess conversion actually
So
means
let's
that they
go.
got business.
Yeah. Um, let's in the top menu. There's uh, a link for appearance, because this is actually an older version of the interface.
Oh wow,
Or use previous design, or it's a new one. They might be rolling out differently around the world.
Tor
There's
new design.
yeah, there's an unwritten rule. As soon as you have figured out how to use Google Ads, they will launch a new UX and then move all of your buttons somewhere else. And they usually do that the morning of the presentation that you're making to the client or your boss. It happens every time.
Yeah, so they
Uh,
haven't
anyway,
launched.
we're trying to get a report. Usually there's a toolbar on the left. We might have to refresh the screen because we've just switched to expert mode.
True. Now they know that we are actually experts. So I see that he has used 7,000 Norwegian krones since 2020. What do you think about that? If you multiply that by
What's the
10,
return on that ad spend?
17,000. So that would be in dollar. Yeah, what's the return? And then you need to have a way to measure like the results from. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I have a client who's spent $250,000 on Google Ads, 2 or 3 thousand a month for 10 years, but he's made $750,000 to $1 million worth of sales.
Okay,
So
it goes up. You know.
he'd, yeah, he'd rather wish he still had that $250,000 in his retirement fund, but he's actually invested that at a much higher return than he would have if he had that money
Yeah.
and put it into the stock market.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
if he'd
So it
bought if he'd bought
depends.
Bitcoin in 2012, then you know, if you knew. Here we are. There's our menu. Okay, so on the very left, if we hover over goals,
Hover,
and
not code.
then summary. Okay, so this is a list of things that it's uh, is tracking or would like to be tracking. Some of these things are automatically created because the um, the website and the Google My Business and the Google Ads account are all connected. So that's where we have these Google hosted things. So those local actions, directions,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, because it says
calls
website
from
here,
ads.
but that's inactive because of the tag, I guess. Yeah, your tag.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why we have that troubleshoot icon, which will take you to
Hmm.
the tag manager troubleshooting window, where it'll tell you, because we already know the tag is not installed on the site. So just quickly, these other ones. So the calls from ads or call from Smart Campaign, that's where someone has clicked the phone number in
Ah,
the ad on Google. So they haven't gone to the website. They've just actually clicked the phone number from Google.
okay.
And then the Google hosted ones are things that take place on Google Maps or Google My Business, which
Okay.
can be either a website click or a phone number click, and so on.
So based on all this data that you see here in front of you, like since the campaign was running like 2020, based on the meeting we have for others to understand, like what could be the best way now you would see fit to optimize? There's a long process, I would guess. Or do you see something here that hasn't been done from the start, or is like, no, 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 why?
So I can share another screen here. So this process we want to go through in this order. We need to get conversion tracking set up first, though, so that we can see the whole picture of what kind of value we're getting from the ads. And here I've put conversion tracking here as part of targeting because, like I mentioned, the conversion data feeds back into Google's targeting, because unless you have an infinite budget and your ad can show every single time someone searches your keyword, Google has to figure out like we mentioned earlier, way earlier, that the search results are customized for each person, and the ads are as well. So Google takes your ad budget and spreads it out across where it thinks it's going to get the best results. So without conversion data, it's kind of guessing and it can't improve. With conversion data, it's applying a machine learning to it to figure out really for your business in your market, when do people click your ad and when do people go to your landing page and do something valuable, like submit a form or make a phone call or whatever. So without that data, we have no mechanism for measuring what we're doing, and also Google can't improve. So that's the first thing we want to figure out is installing that code, and then setting up tracking to cover when people fill out a contact form. That would be a conversion we want to track.
Yeah.
And if people are also calling the phone number or clicking the email address,
Yeah, because you can
then
pinpoint that as well if you have the tag and analytics set it up correctly on the divs.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can see which keywords are performing better than others and
Oh.
which ads are working better than others once we have that conversion tracking data.
So
And then
that
same thing.
takes some time to run, like the conversion to gather some data in order to optimize.
Yeah, it takes time. You can only make decisions as fast as you gather data. So if their budget is a few clicks per day,
Mm,
it's going to take longer to get that data. For another company that
makes sense.
if they're getting 1,000 clicks a day, then you can make those decisions very rapidly.
Yeah.
As how many depends on how many actual clicks per keyword and clicks per ad, but yeah, you need that data to make the decision. And until we have these things figured out, there's no point in testing the landing page because you can't really measure your results properly.
Mm,
And the other part of step one is making sure that we have our location settings correct. Especially for a local business like this, if they are advertising in the wrong city, they might have the right keyword and a perfect ad and a beautiful landing page and a wonderful sales process, but that person's never going to hire them because their ad has shown in the wrong country or the wrong
yeah,
city.
makes sense.
So that's why I put that in step one here, because that is wasted ad money that we can trim immediately. And then audience is another topic, but that's important for Google search. Sometimes there are audiences that we can target that are in market for certain things. And then for the other types of campaigns, they are heavily based on the audience. So the audience is a huge part of the targeting for display and video campaigns.
Gotcha.
And yeah,
So
and
it
we can also,
so it kind of depends on like which type of business you are into. Like this is a small business, but if you were like a bigger firm, etc., and you want to target multiple people from throughout the world, it would be maybe a little bit different or completely different. It's funny
yeah,
that you're talking about this because, as I said in the introduction of the conversation we had, like I started my own company, etc., and I started to build up my own website, but I haven't really run any ads on that specifically. So that could be
mm,
like a really good example to look at how could that website be optimized in terms of funneling, clicks, etc., and setting up ads. But I guess that could be another type of topic for another day as well.
oh, okay. Why don't we look into that ad account
Sure.
in the location setting?
Let
I've
me
seen
share.
accounts where they're running half their budget in the wrong country, and so you can, in a couple of clicks,
Oh wow.
double their efficiency of their advertising. It can be a really quick win. So let's go to campaigns on the very left. And
So if they're like
campaigns
running
again.
the ad in Sweden and Denmark and not just
Yeah.
also okay, I got you.
And even sometimes just further away. If they,
United
when they,
States.
um, yeah, but if they price their job an hour away from where they're located, they have to pay their staff to be there. They have to pay the petrol cost to drive there and back. So
Mm,
their quote is going to be less competitive than a local company who doesn't have to have that drive time
okay.
and the travel cost. So it's probably better to focus their budget closer to home first, prioritize that area. So let's go to campaigns again. We have to click. There's also a campaigns under the campaigns submenu in the
Oh,
campaigns
it's not a bug.
submenu. It's not a bug. They'll change it soon, though. Don't worry.
Campaign settings. Because you are looking at location. Here's location. Your ads show to people within 25 kilometers of your business. Here.
Okay, let's edit that. Oh, maybe because we are in the smart campaign. Okay,
Oh, okay.
let's edit
Yeah,
that
so
again.
they have
Oh, okay,
advertised it
maybe because
near
it's a
their
smart
address.
campaign.
Ah, so it's not a regular campaign. It's smart campaign. They
Right.
use.
So these are. This is good, I guess. If those two cities are their target market,
Yeah.
if this is the locations report. Um,
This one is a bit further away, and this one is a bit further away, and Sweden is not needed
mhm.
because
If
that's
you
another
check Sweden, can
country.
we exclude it?
It's 5 here, and there have been no clicks on it as well. So let's take a look. Exclude selected
There, we can
location.
exclude selected. Yeah.
Now we're actually doing work.
No one's clicked, but what time frame is this on? Oh, it's all time. Okay. So the smart campaigns assumed that they're local. Oh,
Okay.
I see what happens. If you create a Google My Business profile,
Mhm.
then it will offer for you to advertise your business. That automatically creates a smart campaign
Ah,
based on the data in your Google My Business profile. So it already knows your location because you verified your business location and you've linked your website.
so
So
that's
that's what we're
kind of
seeing
what's
here is
happened
the
here.
smart campaign.
Can you
Right.
say what's the difference between a smart campaign and a regular campaign?
So the other campaign types will have all of the features and reporting available, and a smart campaign is trying to simplify it as much as possible.
Hmm.
So like the difference between Linux and iOS
Okay, I see, I see, I
with
see.
right Apple just gives you one button you can push and that's what you get. And if you want to configure more, then you're on the other side where you have a PC with
Yeah.
all of the features and all of the buttons and all of the setting files.
Ah,
Um,
okay. So we want the expert
so
campaign
that's
instead
where we're
of
here.
the regular one next time.
Yeah. So we would have more control in the standard campaign in terms of seeing exactly what search terms people are searching.
So this month it was 200 clicks in Oslo, which is close. But there was impressions this month in Sweden, which is not needed. So it's good we got rid of it. I'm not sure why Hobol municipality is here. It's not really needed, to be honest. Um, but there's no clicks on it either. So we could, I guess, exclude it. Hobol municipality.
Yeah, I would exclude anywhere that's not showing because even though you're not paying for clicks,
You would do it, yeah.
they wouldn't be valuable if you got them.
Yeah, it's
Those
far
places are
away.
too far
I'm
away.
not sure why it tries to do that. Let's get rid of it. Because then we are targeting it more, narrowing it down to what we actually want to show.
That's right. And we're concentrating our budget more where it is valuable.
Yeah.
I guess it's done a pretty good job of only showing local clicks, at least according to this report.
Yeah. All time.
Um,
Yeah. So now we're saying don't advertise in these specific locations.
Definitely the next step is to install the tag and
Yeah.
start tracking the mail to clicks and the
Unfortunately, that will
phone
be on the
clicks.
new
But
website because we don't have access.
yeah, yeah,
But that will be like a new step forward. And then I guess also set up a new
yeah,
campaign and get rid of this campaign.
yeah. Well, let's. If you have a couple more minutes, let's click around in here a little more. Can we go back to the campaign? Let's see all campaigns, and then hopefully we can see the keyword report, the search terms
Um,
report.
I think I saw something here.
Okay, search terms report and keyword themes.
Okay, so here we have the juice.
Okay, so we can do the same thing here by excluding things that are obviously wrong. For
Oh,
example, people might be looking for jobs at a painting company
here we have Porsche buying a car.
or center. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't speak Norwegian, but
Yeah, this
so
also. Wow, interesting. And he has money on it. Um, he spent 1 krone on dentist. Is the keyword when there is a painting company.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
interesting,
So we'd
actually.
want to do this process on a regular basis to remove keywords that they're
Ah.
paying for, because each one of these things represents a part of their budget that just went to waste.
And this is
So
what
you are,
what Google is kind of trying to add itself, because I guess he hasn't added this on his own. Is Google
if
trying
it's a
to be
smart
smart?
campaign, it's just gathering these things itself. I'm not sure. Are
Oh,
those postal codes or
yeah, postal codes.
addresses?
Not sure
Okay.
why. Like trying to figure out why they have these postal codes. They're
Yeah,
located
that's
in
strange.
1184, and yeah, I don't know why they actually have. So add
Yeah.
to
So we want to
negative.
look for anything that would represent someone who's looking for work. So like painter jobs near me, or
Yeah,
researching the career. How much does a painter make? How much does it cost to start a painting company? Um,
makes
do
sense.
painters need insurance?
That kind of
There's
thing.
those sorts of keywords. And then there would be possibly keywords. Maybe those postal codes are just coming from marketers who are trying to send flyers to businesses or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, here's like completely off. Like it's trying to give you a law order company,
Yeah.
and also traffic school for learning to drive, tennis, and yeah, this is good data points for the video. Doctor, sports. So has
Okay.
nothing to do with the business at all. But I see has also spent zero on it. But up he had
Yeah.
spent some money on some wrong ones. So it could potentially mean that one day it could spend money on those words. Because here
Right.
it has
So
done.
this would say if Google has tried to figure out what the company actually
Yeah.
offers, and it's run a bunch of experiments here, and it's
Yeah.
found that people don't click the ad if they're looking for a doctor, and they don't click the ad if they're looking for traffic school.
Hmm.
We can help that process by putting in this data, and it doesn't have
But
any visibility into what's happening on the website either.
still though it hasn't removed it. It's still here as a
Yeah.
potential click.
Bakery.
Like
Yeah.
this is like completely off. So by removing all of this,
It
we
knows the URL, so it can go to the website and it can scrape the terms on the website.
yeah.
But sometimes the website's not that helpful if the services page just says our services and talks about customer service
Hmm.
and how they're competitive, and there's a lot of things you could say about your business in the context of someone already knowing what you do. But if you just look at the data on the page, the keywords on the page, it could be really generic. It might even be the same copy that a dentist and a doctor and a traffic school has on their site about
Mhm.
being competitive and great customer service and
And that's why it
satisfied
thinks that.
customers. Yeah. So Google just doesn't know. And because analytics isn't on the site,
Ah,
uh, it doesn't have feedback for time on site or
see.
page views per visit or
So
bounce rate necessarily.
so analytics and Google Ads they tightly go together to set them up correctly.
Yeah.
Um, but you're saying Google
BMW.
can
Yeah,
still go and scrape the website even though the
this is a
tag is
machine
not
learning
correct.
algorithm just testing.
Okay, got
Yeah.
you. But they can still go in and
Oil
like scrape
name
the website even
search.
though the Google tag etc. isn't done correctly. They still do that based on the domain name. You feel?
Yeah, it's still indexing the site.
Yeah.
And presumably when they set up their Google My Business profile, which you want to check,
Where
that
can
they have,
we check that? Google My Business.
it would be in their business profile. If you're logged in and you have access, then when you're looking at their listing on Google Maps, there'll be a
Okay.
button for manage or log in. So make sure they've categorized their business properly, categories, and describe what market your business is in, which they must have had to do if they were running ads. But clearly, Google doesn't have a whole bunch of data. It's just, this is like a machine learning algorithm that's just
Mm.
throwing noodles at the wall to see what sticks because it doesn't really
I see.
understand, right? It's just crunching numbers, really.
So this is gold for one person that are optimizing ads and work as a consultant for a company like this, because you can take the report and say, "Hi guys, this is what you're paying for," and show all these
Yeah.
different
And
trends.
in a standard search campaign, not the smart campaign, you get this data, and you can see the impressions, clicks, the cost per click, the conversion rate. You get
Okay.
a lot more data than they're
Ah,
giving you here,
I
and then
see.
you can use that to exclude the terms. So negative keywords, negative keyword themes. That's what we're adding. You could actually go in that now, the negative keyword themes, which
Can
would be a
I
negative keyword
can I
list.
add the ones that I clicked on now to the negative one? Is that like exclusion, or
Yeah,
is it, yeah? They just call it for
yeah.
negative
And then
because,
you can explicitly go in to the negative keyword themes.
okay, let's try it. So your ads show when people search for your keyword teams and related phrases. So you can, yeah, you can have like a phrase or how to build the wall or in Norwegian, etc.
Okay. And then negative keyword themes, you could just brainstorm everything that they're not
Ah,
by adding more negative keyword themes. So job, employment, trainer.
I see. But you should use
So we would
Norwegian
try,
Norwegian keywords, right? Since it's a Norwegian company.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. But the themes would be, we don't want to advertise to job seekers because we probably don't need to. We don't need to advertise to marketing companies, although I'm not sure what keywords they would use that would be different than ours. But definitely, if they don't paint cars,
Hmm.
we think of similar things. If they only paint houses, we need to exclude cars and anything else that would get painted.
Makes sense.
So if you think of all of the searches that involve the word painter or maler, I guess, in Norwegian, some of that cloud of searches has nothing to do with homes. So there's art, there's nail paint, fingernail paint, there's hair paint, car paint, street road paint. So
This
all
is
of those
where
things that they don't do would have.
I guess Google nor like ChatGPT comes in handy, right? Instead of brainstorming all of that.
Yeah. So we think of all of the overlap. So, for example, I have a client who sells car batteries, automotive batteries. So we have to exclude people searching for cell phone batteries and hearing aid batteries and camping batteries and solar batteries.
Hmm.
All of the other searches that have something to do with batteries that aren't automotive batteries. So that's
Okay.
the same thing here. That's true, where there's going to be some kind of overlap in the actual searches, but it's not the actual search intent
Yeah, so
that
it's
we want.
basically as most important as adding regular keywords to add these type of keywords.
Yes, you really need both. And it's not part of the campaign setup. If you go through the standard campaign setup process, it never asks you about negative keywords. That's an extra thing you have to do.
And I
And
guess
unless you know where the keyword report is, the search terms report that we've just seen, you wouldn't know that you're also advertising for a bunch of irrelevant things.
true. You wouldn't know because you don't know where to find it. And I guess
That's right.
with this smart campaign, you can't have like a list with comma separated values. I would have to go through this manually like I do now. I can't just add like, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's a smart campaign. So maybe somewhere they have it,
You
but
might be able to do that through the desktop app called Google Ads Editor.
okay, interesting.
It's a desktop interface that will allow you to download the data locally from the account and then update it and even back up and archive it and then upload your changes back to the server.
That I will
So
take
you
a look
can,
at.
it saves you typing out a whole bunch of keywords. If you already have them in a spreadsheet, you can just,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, that makes sense. That's something you can look
yeah.
at. Okay, so this is interesting. So now we had some actual data points to look at and see what could be optimized here. I think this is a good start for now in terms of what we have talked about today.
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate the call.
Don't worry. If you want to set up another time, just hit me up. I'm here. And now, what I think will be the next stages, like for people to learn, it could be like a fun series now to like show people not just as thought out business, but actually a business, and see if we are improving based on the conversation that we're having and recording that. Because what I'm going to do next is now going to actually map out design of the website, etc., and funnels and forms and all these things, and then start to optimize with the Google ad.
Cool. What platform are you using?
Yeah, so I'm using C
Okay.
Sharp, React, and Next, but I have been actually thinking about just going out for using Webflow just to try it out. Because I am a
Mm,
developer, but I
cool.
would like to have it faster, because if I'm having like 10 clients in a month, I need to make it
Hmm.
faster and not sit and position the div. Um, it needs to be a bit faster than that. So that's something I'm having
Right.
into consideration. And
Okay.
Figma as well, like mapping out the design, etc. So mostly that's what I'm
Cool.
using for the website that I sent you, Wonder Consultancy. I built that out using
Mhm.
Next.js, and I'm hosting it on Vercel. The website is by no means done, but I wanted to get it out. And if you Google it, you will not find any results, because it's not like hooked up to anything which has value. So that's like a project of mine for my business
Mhm.
that I need to work on. But I got some great value from the code that I can start to take a look at as well. I see now I'm
Cool.
actually coming up in the search. So that's a great start. That took some time to come up.
That's good. Or maybe the call wasn't encrypted properly.
Yeah, they have been listening in.
Yeah, on
Good
our
point.
phones.
All right. Thanks so much for the call and your value.
Yeah, yeah, my pleasure.